study about our vegetative propagation in plants. Actually, vegetative propagation means in angiospermic plant, basically every part of this plant or angiospermic plant also helps in vegetative propagation. So its definition is that it means the flowering plants, every part of the body, you may call as it your root, your shoot, your leaves, buds take part in vegetative propagation. I repeatedly told one term, that is propagation. First, I clear about the term propagation. It means the part which is able to reproduce itself, which is able to reproduce a new plant. The process of repeated fragmentation, the process of development of a new plant from the old plant part is otherwise known as propagation. And this propagation is again divided into two types. This vegetative propagation is again divided into two types actually. One is your natural vegetative propagation, another one is your artificial vegetative propagation. In this part, we are going to study about only the natural vegetative propagation and know how the plants are naturally propagate vegetatively. This process is only in natural process. There is no artificial process, there is no machinery process, there is no chemicals are used in this process. So it is a quite natural process. So in this process, in this class, I am going to tell you about three parts. One is your stem part, another one is your leaf part, and last one is your bud plus or root plus also. So firstly, in stems, there is a number of examples which are used, which types are used in vegetative propagation. First, we take an example of runner. As the term says that runner means running condition. That means the roots and shoots developed and the branches are running from one plant, one part to another part in this in a sequential manner. So this is otherwise known as your runner. So at first, before going to the runners, I want to tell some important features about that. First, take an example of runner. One example of runner is your cynodon, otherwise it is known as your lawn grass or dove grass also. In this grass, if you take one grass, sequentially in this soil particles, the grass sequential branch is horizontally growing on the upper surface of the soil. When it touches the soil aggressively, then a number of roots are arise in that point, and from that point a number of grasses are developed. Again, it's going a number of parts in over the soil, and then grows another part of your grass. So sequentially it is growing a number of parts, and this branch is consist of number of nodes and internodes in it, and it is on above the soil, not underground. It is above the soil, and its best example is your cynodon, and because of this running condition, it is otherwise known as your runner. Nextly, we are going to study about your offset, whose other example is your Ecornia, and it is also known as your terror of Bengal. Why it is known as your terror of Bengal, I also told you. But before going to that, I want to tell you some basic differences between this runner and this offset. It is not an aquatic plant, but it is an aquatic plant. That means it grows above the soil, but it grows under the soil or above the water medium here. So it is known as your aquatic plant. And the basic difference is here the branch is growing and consists of number of nodes and internodes in it, but it is a single node condition. That means there is no nodes and internodes between it, and this total structure, these leaves and these root systems are consist of bunch of parenchyma cells. I also told you about parenchyma in your previous classes, that means in your first year classes also. Parenchyma are the cells which are consist of air pockets in it. So because of the air pockets, it is buoyant in nature and floats on water. So these types of particles are floats in water. These types of plants are basically floats on water. because of this because of this leaf structure and extremely green colored leaves, and these types of fleshy leaves are also developed from this offset. So it is one type of exotic plant, and because of this nature, these plants are migrated from other countries to our countries. Actually, not it is not our it is not actually our country's plant. It is exotic, extended from another countries to our country, and because of this beautifulness of this plant of offset. If we take an example of Ecornia, it is otherwise known as your terror of Bengal, because our peoples are take this plant because of its beautiness, but when we start this plant, we place this plant on water medium. After some time or after some days, it's going to replicate day by day. It's going to multiple day by day, because its nodes and its branches are in running condition, and they are repeatedly developed, and after some time there is a number of plants are developed on the sources of water. You may take it as your pond, you may take it as your lake also. So for the development of this plant, there is a number of cells are developed in it, which are basically extremely green in color and consist of green colored pigment pockets, that your chlorophyll pigment pockets in it itself. As they are containing of a number of air pockets, parenchyma cells, it develops rapidly, and in this photosynthesis process, it's a large number of oxygen through water medium are also developed from development of this plant. As a number of oxygen molecules are transferred from the water medium, there is a biological oxygen demand, which is otherwise known as your BOD, takes place in water medium, and it is a terror to the lake, it is a terror to the pond of that aquatic medium, as there is a number of fishes, there is a number of insects, there is a number of animals are also aquatic organisms are also living in this plant medium. As it is growing rapidly, it causes an biological oxygen demand. So because of this nature, it is otherwise known as your terror of Bengal, but it is a beautiful plant. Nextly, we are going to take our another term, which is our tuber, and its example is your potato. The next vegetative propagation which is caused by the stem is your tuber. You saw that there is a number of scars are takes place. There is a number of scars are present on the surface of your potato. They are not actually the scars; they are actually the nodes. And if you place a potato in a same place for some days or some months, there is a number of nodes, there is a number of teeny outgrowths are developed from that node or that eye. It is otherwise known as your eye, but in your botany it is otherwise known as your node. So if you place that potatoes for some days or for some months, no doubt the total potato is takes place black in color, but some places are developed, some nodes are developed which are there is a number of outgrowths that takes place. The nodes are quite yellowish in color, and the stem is, if you cut the stem, you can place that part and grow another plant. So in this case also, the node of potato are developed in your stem culture, which is otherwise known as your tubers. So tubers are also help in your vegetative propagation. In other case, if you take the example of bulbs, you may take your example of onions. There is a number of scale leaves. These are the scale leaves actually, and there is a compressed internode in between them and some of root system. This is the compressed node, compressed stem structure, and from this stem there is a number of leaf structures are also developed, which is otherwise known as your scale leaves. And this total structure told that in onions and garlics are also helps in the vegetative propagation. If you put this total structure in soil, it develops another plant itself also, because there is a compressed root system and stem system are also there. So it is otherwise known as your bulb. In this bulb condition also there is the vegetative propagation that takes place. And next one is your rhizome culture. You know that this is a diagram of your ginger. In ginger also there is a number of scale nodes, there is a number of scale leaves and nodes are also present. It is thallus or a fruit-like structure, which is the basic fruit or basic nutrient medium. When you place this rhizome in soil, in this node part, there is a development, there is an outgrowth takes place. This is actually the plant, this is the leaf, and this is the plant. So if you put out that thallus or rhizome-like structure, which is otherwise known as a ginger, and put that plant on soil, there is another development, there is another outgrowth are also takes place, which is otherwise known as ginger. In the same process takes place in turmeric also. So both ginger and turmeric of rhizome culture also help in your vegetative propagation, which otherwise known as your stem. In the other part, if we take example of your root, there is a basic example of root tuber, which is otherwise known as your sweet potato. These root-like structures consist of number of roots in its upper part. As you know, a number of nodes are developed on the upper part, and it also developed a number of outgrowths, pod-like structures and outgrowths from the outer part, and gives rise to a bunch of parts. Bunch of development also takes place vegetatively, which are in natural process. So this types of development, this type of vegetative propagation takes place in root culture, in also tropica, yam, dahlia, or tonospora, etc. These are some of the examples, and this is a diagram of your root. So nextly we are going to study about the leaf. Firstly we are study about your runner. In runner we study about your cynodon dukegrass and its vegetative propagation. Next in offset, Econia, which is otherwise known as your terror of Bengal. And nextly your tubers, which is otherwise known as your potato, and also know about the eyes of potato, developmental structure and vegetative propagation of potato. Nextly your rhizome, which is otherwise known as your ginger or turmeric, and I give an example of ginger and its diagram also. You can draw it in your notes. Next one is your corm, which is a colocasia. Otherwise you can take another example of taro also, or any elephant fruit, yam also. From this, these are also same, these are compressed internodes which are developed. We take an example of your leaf, which is an example of your bryophyllum leaf. You may also take your bignonia or hemasagar leaf for the development of your vegetative propagation. You saw that it is a fleshy and green leaf with bulbous structure, rounded structure in its stem. That means its green color petiole and its lamina is also consist of loop-like structures, and these loops are consist of a number of buds in it. And from these buds, these foliar buds are again developed a teeny young plant or teeny outgrowth, which are again helps in the vegetative propagation. Here we saw that number of parts of a angiosperming plant. You may take your leaf, you may take your stem, or you may take your root. These all parts are helps in vegetative propagation. In our next part, in our next video, we are going to study about our artificial vegetative propagation, in which we are going to study about how in artificial methods the vegetative propagation takes place. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.